Chapter 8, August, the home stretch. August 1st. I just like to switch things up all the time. Like when it comes to singing, I try to find a different character for each song. John Frusciante. For some, switching things up all the time can make it seem like nothing is organized and that you are constantly thinking about what to do, what to say, or how to act next. This can be uncomfortable and bring on stress, anxiety, or worry when it doesn't need to be there. However, there is a grave danger in always doing something the same or living your life every day within a monotonous routine. You start to become complacent. You never challenge yourself to think on the fly. In essence, you don't really grow much, if at all. For others, switching things up all the time can be freeing in just the way they want to live. It can help you discover a new way to get from point A to point B when driving. It forces you to think outside of the box when in the pursuit of any endeavor. Like singing, it encourages creativity and the moment focus and make life more exciting and adventurous. This may seem awesome and face value. It is. However, there is also a danger in this because if you live too free, too outside of the box, you may not be able to function in society or be so out there that no one can relate to you. If you're an extroverted person, this can be troublesome. For me, there has to be a healthy balance of both. Some familiarity through a routine, but still changing things up to keep it fresh, new, and interesting often. I tend to want to live more in the changing things up camp because it's more fun and exciting. And you don't have to do something extraordinary to change things up. It could be something. It's as simple as trying a new place out to eat this weekend instead of the same pizza place or Mexican restaurant you've always defaulted to. Start simple and then expand from there. It showed me that there are so many possibilities and opportunities at my fingertips if I'm just open to exploring them. The same can be said for singing. It's fun to try out different voices and songs. For one, it can expand your range and ways of connecting with a song, which will inevitably connect with the audience in a different way. It's a direct way to prove to yourself that you're not a one-trick pony either. August 2nd. The prose, as such, has to be singing the song the story is telling. Leonard Michaels. That is so right. If we don't sing the song the story is telling, then we aren't doing the story justice. We will come up short, miss the mark, or fall flat, pun intended. And that would be a real shame, even a crime, because stories are begging not only to be told the right way, but shared in a communal experience with others. When done in the right way, it inspires, encourages, and motivates others into thinking of and seeing the world around them with a fresh new perspective. It might aid someone in becoming a better version of themselves. The positive benefits of doing it right are too many to write down in a page, but you get the point. This is why story time at libraries is so vital to a child's development. It's why comedians and actors have a distinct way to tell their jokes or act out their dramas. It's the reason why any creative endeavor deserves a chance to be heard and in the right way. This is also why singing the song the story is telling is so important. For example, if the verse is meant to be sung by a woman, then have a woman sing that part. If the chorus is meant to be sung by a child, then have a child sing that part. If the whole song is meant to be sung by a choir, recruit a choir to sing it out loud and proud. We owe it to the song to listen to what it is trying to tell us so we are able to extract the most out of it as we can for educational and enjoyment purposes. If somehow we don't do exactly what the story is telling us, then it could become a moot point altogether, a giant waste of time, or flat out just done in vain. Who wants that? I know I don't. August 3rd. From the time an eel boy becomes a man, he will not sing anything but battle chants or their dirge for the slain. I have heard them singing over their dead and over those they have killed. That song was one to make the stones weep. Robert Jordan. This is equally as powerful as it is heartbreaking. To think that there are children who only sing songs of battle, then sing songs of sorrow and weeping for the terrible loss of life should make us think a little bit about the state of things in the world. For anyone to experience death so close to home, it is a traumatic experience, and the fact this happens in a particular area of the world can be nothing short of devastating. I mean, to see death every day right in front of your face has to take a short-term and long-term toll, which is not positive. These are children, for crying out loud. Let them have an actual childhood. Life can beat us down as we get older, but for children, it ought to be as much of a carefree with a little bit of structure experience as possible. To me, it is a reminder that we owe it to ourselves as human beings to keep the peace, for we don't know the impact of our actions on a larger scale like this. Besides, why would we want to be at war and not at peace, whether it's inner or outer? More people will be lifted up, saved, and able to live longer lives as opposed to death and destruction. Let the children, and all of us for that matter, sing songs of faith, hope, peace, and love instead. August 4th. I can't talk about my singing, I'm inside it. How can you describe something you're inside of? Janis Joplin. Spoken like a humble singer-songwriter musician, Janis is so right. To truly describe something you're inside of in all its essence, beauty, and wonder is nearly impossible. It's akin to the feeling of falling in love. If we are lucky enough to meet and spend time with that special someone in our lives, we might not be able to pinpoint the exact moment where we actually fell in love. It is more likely for there to be a chain of events and gestures leading up to that moment, and somewhere along the line we knew we were in love. There might be a few things that person does, stands for, and looks like, which leads us to that feeling, but to fully describe it is difficult. Why? Because we're fully immersed in the moment, and when this happens, it's hard to describe something. We can get close to putting our finger on exactly what did it for us, but to nail it 100% with just words is difficult. As it pertains to love, actions most certainly speak louder than words. Yes, words are nice and make us feel warm and fuzzy on the inside, but kind and loving gestures and actions go a long way throughout life. When Janis was asked to speak of her singing, she didn't feel as if she was qualified to really talk about it since she was so close to it. In fact, she was inside of it. And when you're fully immersed in what you're doing, you're in the zone or flow state and not able to take a step back to look at it from an outsider's point of view. She was so in the zone that she didn't think of what her singing voice sounded like, how it was perceived. She was so in it that it might not have mattered to her to look outside of it. In doing so, she most likely didn't question her natural gifts, talents, and abilities with music. If she did, she wouldn't be as prolific and iconic as she was. August 5th, we all have our la 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 song, the thing we do when the world isn't singing a nice tune to us. We sing our own nice tune to drown out ugly. Rita Williams Garcia. Isn't this so true? If you haven't discovered the thing you do to drown out the ugly, the noise, the distractions of the world by now, I'm sure you will find one at some point. For me, it's listening to calm instrumental music first thing in the morning and late at night, as well as playing the hong drum, saying simple prayers and repeating simple mantras like everything is all right or feel the peace inside. For someone else, it can literally mean singing a particular song, letting the music and lyrics shine through any negativity, darkness, and doubt surrounding you or a situation experience you are in. For me, the part of singing your own nice tune is similar to the quote, marching to the beat of your own drum. In both cases, you are being original by selecting your own unique song or rhythm and adopting that into how you live your life. So let us continue to sing loud and proud, keeping our heads held high in all circumstances. We don't know the massive impact we all have on the world and the effect of singing or playing your way to a state of happiness, peace, joy, and love. We're not only doing ourselves a favor, but the world as well. August 6th. True love is singing karaoke under pressure and letting the other person sing the Freddie Mercury part, Mindy Kaling. I'm not sure I agree with this quote, as it sounds like what you would be doing is passing off the most difficult part of the song to someone else. It might not sound too much like love, handing off something incredibly difficult to someone else, but maybe it is exactly what true love is, knowing you can trust someone else with something so challenging, seemingly impossible, that they are ready, willing, and able to take it on headstrong with no complaints, negative comments, eye rolls, or shoulder shrugs. Love has a lot to do with trust. Some may say it has everything to do with it. If this is what she means, then yes, that is quite a loving gesture, albeit confusing at the same time. You can apply this kind of thinking to any part of life, responsibilities with kids, work responsibilities. These are both forms of well thought out, careful delegation when passing or handing something off to someone. That is assuming your partner in karaoke or in life was given fair warning before the event or responsibility happens. If this isn't what she means, then passing off a Freddie Mercury part to a loved one may be setting them up to fail because, let's face it, he is the king of amazing vocal techniques and performance. It's not easy to replicate, duplicate, or emulate what he did with his voice. In another sense, we'd be talking a trial by fire situation to see if they are able to sink or swim and adapt in real time. August 7th. Singing is a natural outgrowth of time spent in revelry, Adam Reinwald. In other words, singing is a natural outgrowth of time spent celebrating, and isn't this so true? When we are happy and things have been going well in life, don't we want to shout it from the rooftops and sing our favorite songs loud and proud? I know I do. This could be when we receive a promotion at work, or that girl or boy we've been swooting over finally pays attention to us and tells us that they have been in love with us for as long as they can remember, when we hit that major milestone in our savings account, when your sister or brother overcomes their battle with cancer, when you and your spouse find out you're pregnant for the first time, or again, when our favorite sports team wins in unprecedented fashion. This list could go on with insert a celebratory situation, experience, or event here. So let us not be afraid or ashamed to let loose and sing as if no one's listening when we are happy. Why not? It's a positive and beautiful way to express ourselves. And what's even better, stronger, and more powerful is when we are able to turn negative situations into positive ones by singing. That's when we've really made the best use of music in life, and we can then sing ourselves into a state of happiness and celebrate that with others. August 8th. When you're singing, you're using extra muscles, and it requires a lot of exercise and breathing. You can't do that if you're a sissy. If I have any fitness advice for people, I tell them to sing more. It's good therapy too, Willie Nelson. Gotta love it. The man, the myth, the legend says it like it is. You really can't be a sissy if you're going into singing. Why? Because as much as singing can be a fun way to express oneself vocally, it is also quite a strenuous activity. You're using a whole bunch of different muscles than one normally does when in normal conversation. Your diaphragm, stomach, and abdomen are being pushed in ways that aren't always the most comfortable. You really have to practice the art of controlled breathing, which is a different way than talking. I mean, if you don't breathe the correct way in between lyrics or take a deep enough breath before a long vocal take, you will most certainly run out of air and not be able to hold a note out for as long as intended. And let's not forget about the importance of posture with your neck and your throat muscles included in the workout part of singing. All of this puts a different kind of stress on your back, so it's like you're exercising a large portion of the midsection of your upper body, which speaks to his fitness advice. So when you break it down like this, Willie is right on it with his quote. Singing is definitely not for the faint of heart, weak of mind, or body. August 9th. The finest singing, given a good voice to begin with, comes from the constant play of a fine mind upon the inner meaning of the music. Ernest Newman. Quite elegant and eloquent, I must say. I can see Ernest comparing the finest singing to a fine wine that ages over time too, and he would be onto something with that, because the more we sit with, practice, and rehearse something, the better we will inevitably become at it. It's just a natural byproduct of the time spent going over something. Over time, we'll discover newer, more efficient ways to sound better, singing lead, finding harmonies, practicing our scales, arpeggios, and everything else in between. The more we spend time with a particular melody, note, chord, and song, the more we embody the lyrics, the mood, the message, and the song overall. We become one with the song, and when done right, cannot distinguish when the song ends and you begin, and vice versa. The same can be said about the more wine ages and sits in a barrel, soaking up all the ingredients put into said barrel. It's inevitable that it will end up tasting better whenever you open it up to do so, if it is inherent in its nature to do so. The wine takes in the entire essence of the grapes, any other fruit, and special spices and herbs, and the flavor of the wood of the barrel. It becomes one in such a way that it's hard to differentiate where the wine ends and the barrel begins, and vice versa. Amazing stuff all around. August 10th. The first time I heard Tom Waits, it was like everything just flipped. It was just this fascination with him. My cousin showed me small change, and I just couldn't get over that this was a white guy singing. Hosier. Never judge a book by its cover. For me, it's even about going a step further, not judging anyone or anything under any circumstances. I mean, who am I to judge? In other words, it's about throwing out all preconceived notions on a particular subject as well. If we go in with the mentality that I know everything there is to know about this topic, then you're right. You won't be able to learn anything new because you've already gone into it with a closed mind. I'm willing to discover something else out about it. Life is short. We owe it to ourselves to be constantly learning something new, even if it's just one thing new every day. It could be something simple, like a new sign within sign language. It could be something complex, like learning how to write code. Whatever the case is, let us keep an open mind and a willing spirit to learn, and then learn some more. Once we are able to adopt the mindset of continual learning, we most certainly surprise ourselves with all kinds of new information, finding more efficient ways of doing something we already do, and more. And if we are able to take this new information and apply it to our lives, this is where the good stuff happens. This is where real growth can occur, and a positive change in your life as well as the lives of those you cross paths with on your journey. Just as Hosier experienced a singer whom he thought was of a different color, then in reality that changed everything for him. So too can we do the same with our pursuits, hobbies, and passions. Who knows? You might even discover something about yourself you never knew, a hidden talent, a gift, or skill in the process. It may set your life into a whole new direction, and you, as well as the world, will be better off for it. The secret is being open to letting it find you, or you discovering it through a persistent curiosity. August 11th. You know your speaking voice comes back, but your singing voice you use in a different way. Kathy Mattea. This is so true, Kathy. If you lose your speaking voice, it eventually comes back. Whether you have a cold, laryngitis, or allergies, it generally comes back to full strength after a couple days. Of course, this isn't always the case, but more often than not it is. We can use warm tea with honey and lemon, throat lozenges, cough drops, gargling with warm salt water, a bag of potato chips when in a pinch, and vocal rest to help it come back as soon as possible. Conversely, our singing voice is quite a different animal from our speaking voice. When we sing, we say words in various melodic tones, sometimes in loud, soft, short, and long manners. We're pushing our throat and voice to a new level we might not have thought was possible before we just went ahead and did it. In doing so, we really owe it to ourselves to protect our voice with as many tools in our toolkit as we can. For the best optimal vocal performance through singing, one can use any of the above ways to proactively and reactively keep our throats and voices up to snuff. Another added one is to properly warm the voice and throat up with vocal techniques and warm-ups for speaking clearly and hitting exact musical notes in ascending and descending scales. It may take a little longer for the singing voice to come back if it is damaged in some way, as opposed to the talking voice coming back sooner rather than later. Since the voice is an instrument, we need to treat it like one so it has the ability to heal itself when something goes awry or is overused. It's all about body awareness and knowing when to hold back and when to go for it. This same kind of rationale can be applied to any area of life. August 12th, there is no sadness when the heart sings. Laila Gifty Akita. What is simply a profound statement. When we allow ourselves to sing straight from the heart, feelings of happiness, joy, peace, hope, inspiration, motivation, love, and many other positive affirmations tend to flood our being. It's hard not to feel them if we truly adopt this singing from the heart idea because they're inherently found in being open, which is another way of saying is singing from the heart. When we are open, we are more willing to try something new and to learn something new. Not only that, but there's a purity and innocence when we sing from the heart as well. And going a step further with this quote, it's impossible to have conflicting feelings at the same time. So of course it makes sense that there is zero sadness when the heart sings. It's impossible to be happy when the heart sings and sad at the same time. We either feel one or the other. We can't feel both at the same time. I don't know if her intention was to bring that out to the forefront with her words, but it is 100% truth as far as human beings' feelings go. At the end of the day, we really ought to be singing from the heart all the time. If we sing from any other place, we'll be doing the song ourselves and the listener a disservice. Let's sing ourselves and those around us to happiness. August 13th. I always tell people that the music industry may be frustrating sometimes, but the singing never gets old. It's something I grew up doing, and I take the bitter with the sweet. Monica, you are so right, Monica. The music industry can be frustrating at times. Lately, it's all been about social media presence and your band or artist image rather than letting the music speak for itself. I've always been a huge believer that if the music is good enough, you don't need flashy things to sell it. It will just sell itself. Now, I'm not saying to post on social media at all or presenting yourself in a less than desired way, but there has to be a healthy balance between creating and selling. We first and foremost need to focus on creating the best possible music we can because we love the process as well as the impact it has on us as the creator. Then we can worry about using our creativity to get the word out about it in fun, different, unique ways. That process can be as creative as writing, producing, and recording a song and album can, if done with the right intention. If the order is switched, meaning worrying about marketing and selling it is first in our minds and the creation of the music comes second, then we would be sorely missing the mark. Our hard work and creativity would be done in vain. As a songwriter and an artist myself, it's a constant push and pull between how does this sound and how will this look. Let's not even get too far into the weeds of record label executives and various other people in your circle if you hit it big. Everyone is trying to tell you what to do or how to sound and wants a piece of the pie too. Stay true to yourself. Do what you feel comfortable doing and be original. This is what will set you apart from anyone else. And to her point about the singing never gets old, you have to love it. She's in it for the right reason and is fighting the good fight. With every great endeavor in life, there's going to be the good, the bad, the ugly, and we have to be able to handle all of it in order to be successful and come out stronger for having gone through it. Everything can be a learning experience, so let us continue to sing and learn over and over again. August 14th. But singing isn't just about belting it out, is it? It's not just who has made the most wobble or the highest note. No, it's about phrasing and being delicate and getting just the right feeling from a song, the soul of it, so that something real happens inside you when a man opens his mouth to sing. And don't you want to feel something real rather than just having your poor ear holes bashed in? Zadie Smith. If you got that right, Zadie, singing isn't just about belting notes out. If it were, then anyone could just scream at the top of their lungs and call it singing. It's also not about who has the most vibrato in their voice or who can sing the highest note for the longest amount of time. It's all about how you deliver each lyric that gives the words meaning, purpose, and intentionality. Sometimes you have to hold back at certain parts of songs in order to paint a scene of calmness and peace. Other times you have to sing louder as the song progresses in order to build anticipation and stress that this particular part is more powerful and passionate than the rest of the song. And of course, everything and anything else can happen in between. It all depends on what each song and what each part of every song calls for that will tell you how to sing it. That's where it's at. It's not only about saying words with a melodic tone behind them in a monotonous, robotic manner, it's about how you say those words that really matter in the end. It's all the little nuances that make for great vocal performance. The same can be said for any area of life, too. It's all about how we do something rather than just what we do. We could say, I love you to someone, but it would fall on deaf ears if it's not done in a meaningful way. The more in a rote kind of obligation to say those three words to someone. Let us say and do exactly what we are intending to say and do with the songs we choose to sing. And let us not just go through the motions in our lives, but rather be the one who puts things in motion for the betterment of ourselves and the world around us. August 15th. Singing other people's material was perceived, I think, as a weakness in my persona. The effect, though, was to make me dig my heels in and try even harder to combine the two. Ricky Lee Jones. It's a lot easier said than done, but honestly, why do we care so much about what other people think? It's a natural human tendency and emotion to do so, but why? When we stop to think about it, it doesn't make sense. So much emphasis is put on how this will be perceived if I do it this way, or how will this appear if I do it that way. In the end, we have to be comfortable in our own skin, trust our instincts and intuition, and believe we are doing the things we do with the right intentions for the right reasons. For me, it's simple. If I'm doing everything in my power to stay within the law legal, to be as moral and ethical about the pursuit of whatever it is I'm doing, as well as inspiring people to be a better version of themselves all the while, then I'm doing everything in my control to make the world a better place. I shouldn't have to worry about what Bob thinks about this decision if the decision follows the simple guidelines outlined above. If we think about how everything is perceived or how it appears to others, then we will never be able to make any sort of decision or progress in the world. It would be the embodiment of analysis paralysis. I think what Ricky says above is awesome. To try even harder to make yourself known in a positive light through the combination of unique skills, talents, and gifts that are solely yours, original, and using what already exists in the world, an example, another person's song, to create something new that is special and one of a kind. We have to do this anyway. Use the resources available to us in tandem with our own unique skills, talents, and gifts to make our way through this life. It's taking something people know or are familiar with and putting your own twist on it. Let this be a reminder that we all have the ability to create beauty, so don't let what others might think about you from doing so. Go for it. August 16th. Because of her singing, they all went away feeling moved, feeling comforted, feeling perhaps the slightest tremors of faith. Anne Patchett. This is exactly what the results should be from a live vocal performance, leaving people feeling moved, comforted, and believing, moved in an inspirational, motivational way so as to take action in some facet of life. Confident in that someone else in the world feels, has gone through, or is currently working through their way through the same as you about one or more situations and experiences and relationships. Believing in that the listener believes not only in themselves, but something bigger than themselves as well. When you put all these emotions together, it's as if all is right in the world and that things are aligned for the greatest possible good one can imagine. You can think of it as a resonating connectedness, togetherness, whose domino effect can traverse the globe in the best kind of way. The same concept can be applied to life by the way we carry ourselves and treat others. If we leave people's presence, be it stranger or best friend, feeling moved, comforted, and believing, then we've done our part in making the world a better place. To me, that is a great way to live and act in the world. We should all be so lucky to have someone like that in our lives in addition to being that person ourselves. August 17th. A father knows that the voice of a child singing is nothing less than the heart of a father that lost its voice, and so rather than write such singing off to the ignorance of childhood muse, the wise father learns to sing again. Craig D. Lounsbrough. There are many things a father can learn from their child or children, one of which is to learn to let loose a little more. As we grow older and take on more responsibilities, these responsibilities turn into stressors, anxieties, and worries that can literally weigh us down. It's easy to smile less and to be as joyful and at peace because it can very easily go to the other direction with plans falling through, diseases and viruses running rampant, work becoming more and more stressful and more. It can strip away any excess energy for fun at times and feel like the whole world is out to get you. I've been there before and even still at times currently, and it's not fun. The great thing about children is that they generally don't have these kinds of worries. All they really have to worry about is when dinner is happening and to wake up with enough time to get ready to go to school. Most things are taken care of for them by parents or caretakers, so they have more energy and bandwidth to have fun, let loose, and look at the world with wonder and awe. They haven't been stifled or jaded by society and the crazy things that surround us in every direction. Without even realizing they're doing it, they are teaching us, parents and adults, to not forget about all the beauty that is around us, all the fun, happiness, and joy we could be having at any given moment, all the wonder of trying to figure out what is flying in the sky and how high the moon is or how old is the oldest person in the world. Becoming a parent for me has helped me take a step back and consciously make myself aware of the simple things which we inadvertently take for granted because of our minds are on other seemingly more important things. The most important thing we can do is be in the moment and let our children know we love them and care about them, guiding them into becoming well-rounded, respectful, and productive members of society to leave everything and the world better off after leaving them or it. August 18th. Praying is another way of singing. You plant in the tree of the soul, lemons you plant in the gardens, the spirit of roses. Danny Epsa. I love the imagery behind this quote. There are multiple ways to think of, portray, and actually perform the idea of singing. It can be through what everyone knows to be singing, putting a melodic tone behind words which are projected in unique ways through the larynx, vocal cords, throat, and mouth. But that doesn't have to be the end-all, be-all for singing. In fact, there are other ways to sing, if you will. Birds don't actually sing words, but rather chirp out melodies and tones. Someone who writes poetry, short stories, essays, books, or does a spoken word at an open mic night are other examples of singing, even though they aren't exactly how we know singing to be. As far as Danny's quote goes, praying is another way of singing is so true. There is a very rhythmic element to praying, especially if it's a prayer that was repeated through the rosary, let's say. It's 10 Hail Marys said in such a way to allow the person or group praying to fall into a meditative trance or be inspired to continue on through the meaningful, purpose-driven mantras. In some cases, there could even be a tone put behind those words to turn them into lyrics of a song. The idea of planting anything to have it grow through tender love and care is right on the money too. When we put the right amount of time and energy into creating something good and long-lasting like trees or roses, we are able to enjoy in the process of creation as well as the fruits of our labor after they've been created. This is the same for traditional singing in a live performance setting where the singer enjoys the singing as does the audience at the same time. An unorthodox, outside-of-the-box singing, birds chirping, praying, spoken word, poetry, authors, and so much more. August 19th. When I'm singing the blues, I'm singing life. Etta James. Ain't that the truth sometimes, Etta? There are times throughout life where things don't go as planned, and some days not our way at all. In fact, as we mature into adulthood, these unplanned situations seem to happen more often than when we were children. At least that's what it can seem and feel like at times. Maybe it's because we didn't pay attention to them or notice them as much when we were kids. Maybe it's just a matter of numbers, where the more days you are alive, the higher the likelihood of things going wrong occurs. Maybe it's a complete randomness and there's no rhyme or reason to it, and we can chalk it up to just life. Maybe it's a bit of all of these. Whatever the case may be, singing about the hard times, the not-so-ideal situations, and the out-of-our-control events can help us deal with and process things in a more constructive, positive way than engaging in self-destructive negative actions or wallowing in self-pity. Plus, when we sing about these things, we know we are not alone because as human beings, one of the few things we all have in common is that we will suffer or struggle with something in this life. We're all born, we all die, and in between we struggle and suffer. as well as hope to experience joys, happinesses, peace, love, and other positive emotions. So by all means, sing your blues, Etta. We can all relate to it in some way, shape, or form, and it makes the burden a little lighter than if we were on our own island by ourselves. August 20th. When we sing, we could do anything, change the world, bring peace, be our best selves at last. When we sing, our hearts can lift and fly over the troubled waters and over the years. Judy Collins. I absolutely love this quote. Over the years, I've experienced this feeling of being able to do anything when I sing. There's something so special about letting yourself get lost in the song, throwing your cares out the window and embodying the lyrics when you sing. It is quite a freeing thing to be able to do something you enjoy while positively impacting others through your efforts. My heart definitely lifts and flies, and I feel like I am transported to a literal and metaphorical higher place. This is also what singing is for me, a state of higher awareness and being in the moment, not worrying about what has happened in the past or what is currently going on in life. And Judy is so right when she says, you can change the world and bring peace when we sing. It might not seem like it at the time, but the more we sing about peace, the more we raise awareness about its importance, not just within ourselves, but the world at large. As far as being our best self through singing goes, I 100% agree with this as well. When I am in the act and art of singing, especially in a live performance or professional recording studio, I am most certainly doing everything in my power to sound and act the best I can. I take all the necessary steps to warm up properly, make sure all the equipment in the space is working, talk to whoever is going to be assisting, engineer, producer, the musician, sound person, in a professional, respectful, kind way. This will make for a much better experience for everyone present, yourself included, especially as it pertains to executing each song to perfection. August 21st. For me, singing is the most natural thing in the world. I've grown up with it, and I know I've got that gift. Stella McCartney. I couldn't have said it better myself, Stella. If you really stop to think about it, singing is a very human and therefore natural thing to do. For the first couple years of life, we imitate sounds and words that we hear on a daily basis. As a result of exploring the different sounds and noises we can make with our voices, we discover singing in some way, shape, or form, whether it be humming a tune, putting a melodic tone to random words we hear, or flat out singing a song, ABCs for instance. Singing happens. It's pretty cool, right? Now, Stella takes it a step further and says that she knows she's got the gift of singing. Not everyone has the gift of singing. There are certain people who have amusia and cannot distinguish between actual melodic music and the banging of pots and pans or white noise. It all just sounds like a chaotic mess to them, and it's harsh to the ears. To realize you have a gift in a particular area is definitely something special. Some people discover it early on. Some people may never truly discover their gifts. We hope that throughout life we are afforded various opportunities and possibilities to discover our gifts, as it can make life that richer, well-rounded, and put you on the great adventure or journey that is your life. The fact she realizes her gift of singing is a great blessing. It means she is aware of her natural ability, and with that comes a responsibility to share with others, to inspire and encourage the world as much as you can. At least that's how I feel about my gift in music. I didn't always see it as a gift, but the more I dive deeper into the work I do with adults who have developmental disabilities, those suffering and struggling from substance abuse or drug and alcohol addiction and Alzheimer's dementia, the more I'm reminded to use the gift to create goodness, beauty, joy, happiness, peace, hope, love, inspiration, and any other positive adjective and attribute that comes to mind. I feel this is the best way to go about living your life, sharing your talents, gifts, and skills with as many people as possible in order to create a positive domino effect that crosses the globe and back again several times. August 22nd. The whole basis of my singing is feeling. Unless I feel something, I can't sing. Billie Holiday. Billie, I totally understand what you mean. In order to sing from the heart and fully connect with the lyrics, you have to feel what the songwriter and singer was going through when he or she wrote and sang the song or songs. Now, if you write your own songs, this is easier to accomplish than doing a rendition of someone else's song. Why? Because as a songwriter, it is in our best interest to write about topics that we personally went or are going through at the moment in order to talk and sing about them with conviction. It is in our best interest to believe in what we are writing and singing. Otherwise, what's the point? I know I don't like the idea of going through the motions, and this is exactly what we'd be doing if we didn't believe in what we were singing or writing about in the first place. Truly feeling the lyrics of a song and how it is meant to be sung can be exhausting, because we're constantly thinking about how we were initially feeling about the subject area to bring it to the present moment, as well as doing our best to provide a new spin on an already existing song written by someone else that still drives the point home and resonates with us. So keep on feeling and in turn singing. We owe it to the song and we owe it to ourselves. August 23rd, the things that affect you most deeply, the things that will destroy you if you don't sing about them, are the things that you often end up singing about. It's really just about saying those things that everybody thinks, but no one will say, and making a connection by uncovering these diamonds that are inside all of us that no one wants to tell each other about. Wayne Coyne. Wow, this is definitely a mic drop kind of quote. I'm sure you've been in situations throughout life where one person in the room said exactly what everyone else was thinking, but was too afraid to say it for one reason or another. Maybe it's because almost everyone didn't want to hurt someone's feelings. Maybe it's because almost everyone has a filter. Not everything needs to be said that you are thinking at every single moment, conversation, or situation. But I would have to argue that it is in these moments the truth, as harsh as it might be, comes out and allows everyone to feel connected in a deeper way than if it wasn't said out loud. The same goes for writing and singing a song about an intense life experience. At times, we might feel like we're on our own island, living independently of one another, like no one has experienced or felt what we have in a particular situation. However, when words are strung together and then sung together in such a way that makes us feel not so alone, we go towards that. We want to listen to it as much as we possibly can. We find comfort and healing in it and yearn for it again and again. We just can't help it as human beings. It's a feeling and sense of connectedness, and we crave not only physical connection, but emotional connection as well. So by all means, let the songwriters and singers write and sing as many songs about the tough times in life. We've all suffered and struggled through something, and we can find solace in knowing we are not alone. August 24th, when I write, my soul sings. Melissa Marsh. Truer words have never been spoken about songwriting. When you sit down to write a song, you are most certainly letting out whatever is inside of your being onto paper, and in turn onto a recording for you as well as others to enjoy. There's something so freeing in letting the genie out of the bottle, if you will. For me, writing has always been a therapeutic, cathartic experience where I am able to take a situation or experience I was involved in or am currently going through and hash it out in a productive, constructive, positive manner. Instead of going to a traditional therapist, I use writing as a way to get out whatever has been ruminating in my head out of it in an actual body of work. Once I'm able to dig deep like this into the experience or situation, I'm able to express it through words and melody, capturing it onto something else. My hope is that it not only helps me deal with things in life, but for others to find comfort, peace, inspiration, joy, hope, and love by listening to it as well as reading the lyrics. It is a way of letting the deepest part of yourself, your true essence, an example, your soul, shine through in the best possible way. You're tearing down any walls you might have put up to separate you from everyone else, to protect yourself from being hurt. Another way to say this is that you're being an open book for other people to read whenever and wherever they want. What a beautiful thing. August 25th. Man must speak, then sing, then dance. The speaking is the brain, the thinking man. The singing is the emotion. The dancing is the Dionysian ecstasy, which carries away all. Isadora Duncan. What a great way to go about life, speaking, singing, and dancing. It behooves us to learn how to speak, or at least communicate in some way, an example, sign language, or writing, because in order to move our way through the world, this is necessary. It's necessary to start and maintain any kind of relationship, friend, family, significant other, business. Before we speak, we must first think about what we're going to say before it comes out of our mouth. Or at least we ought to be doing this so as to not hurt anyone's feelings, as well as state clearly what we are intending to do or what we'd like someone to do for us. As far as learning how to sing goes, it doesn't have to be perfect. All it needs to be is our own unique brand of using our voice in such a way so as to produce melodic sound through the use of words. So this is taking the idea of speaking to the next level and providing a tone and emotion to words with what we know to be lyrics. When we sing, we are moving our voices up and down, projecting loudly and pulling it back softly at times, weaving our way through the staircase of melodies in ascending and descending scales and trills, all the while doing it with passion and conviction. At last, but not least, when we dance, we are taking songs which usually start off as plain old words, at least songs with lyrics do, that are turned into a melodic performance of those words and fully embodying them. We're literally moving our bodies along to those words and melodies, letting loose and just being in the moment with a song. There's nothing better than bringing singing and dancing together at specific events like weddings, anniversaries, and concerts, to name a few. August 26th. Singing instrumental music is most important because while you play an instrument, you are singing through the instrument. Actually, you are singing inside. Ali Akbar Khan. I love the sentiment behind this quote. I find myself singing out various instrumental parts of songs often, bringing it into my throat and embodying it. It's actually a lot of fun to do so, as you can come up with any fragment of a word or sentence you want instead of having to remember the exact word or words being said and sung in a traditional song with lyrics and vocals. In fact, there's something freeing about taking an instrumental song and doing this. You can be as creative as you want. For instance, I can take Beethoven's Ode to Joy, which has now been transformed into a song with lyrics, Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee, and put my own spin on it by singing numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and the N, then broken up into two syllables, 12 if I want. Or I could do something completely different and select words for a specific story I want to tell, or even sing parts of words. This is essentially what Do Re Mi does in the ending part of that song. It takes parts of words like fa and la and incorporates them into a fun and playful melody and lyrical line. To touch upon the second part of the quote, when you perform it on an instrument, you're essentially singing through and inside of it by how you play each part. You might play a specific part with more intensity than another, and this would be the same as singing a vocal part loud with much power and projection, or holding back in another section of a song. Instead of physically and literally singing a vocal line or an instrumental section, you are using your hands, your feet, and in some cases even your mouth, trombone, trumpet, tuba, oboe, flute, harmonica, kazoo, literally singing a melodic part with this instrument. To play musical notes. In a sense, you are putting a part of yourself inside of the instrument to do so. How cool is that? August 27th. The soul of one who serves God always swims in joy, always keeps holiday, is always in her palace of jubilation, ever singing with fresh ardor and fresh pleasure a new song of joy and love. John of the Cross. Being a Roman Catholic Christian, I can attest to this quote through personal experience. For as far as I can remember in adulthood, I have been asking God to give me the right words and guide me in the right direction to take action in order to positively impact everyone I have the pleasure of crossing paths with on that day. It isn't always the easiest to be kind to everyone, especially when I come into a conversation or situation with the other people or person are combative, blaming, aggressive, and just downright mean and nasty. But it is in these moments where patience and grace can shine through if we are aware of how your actions can impact others. We can't control anyone else's behaviors or how anyone reacts to situations other than ourselves. I've come to realize over the years that it is God continually giving me the right words. I, as well as most people in the world, are doing the best we can with the resources and knowledge we have at any given moment on any given day. I find that when I am in alignment with my soul and using my gifts, talents, and skills given to me, then practiced by me over and over again, I am most at home and at peace with those around me. I am able to feel more joy, love, happiness, and inspiration, and my soul is definitely singing in celebration. August 28th, I am singing now while Rome burns. Richard Seekin. At first glance, this seems like an intense situation, and it most certainly is. I mean, how can one sing while a whole city is burning right in front of your eyes? It almost sounds counterintuitive. But I feel this is more of a metaphor for being able to find joy and happiness amidst the chaos, trials, tribulations, hardships, and pain we all experience throughout life. All these less than ideal situations are bound to creep up at one point or another, and at times it may feel like the whole world is crumbling down on you or out to get you. Can this be hard to handle? Sure it can. However, if we let every single little thing get to us, then our joy, peace, love, and happiness will be stolen and be replaced by bitterness, anger, resentment, and the like. I'd rather the former than the latter, because the latter seems like it would leave you anxious, stressed out, paranoid, and just plain old negative. I don't want to live my life like that, and I would hope you don't either. That takes up way too much energy. I'd rather save that energy for something positive that I enjoy, which can help others. So the next time something unexpected, out of the ordinary, or awful happens to you, see if you could find a way to sing yourself to happiness. If you're able to do so, you'd be literally taking a negative situation, flipping it on its head, and seeing the world through a more positive lens, which can sustain you for many years to come. August 29th, when we sing praises to our Lord, we join in the chorus that creation has been singing from the beginning of time, and it is the same anthem that we as believers will be singing for all eternity, Laura's Story. I really couldn't have said it better myself. We've touched upon this idea of singing praises to God through other quotes in this book and others in this series, 365 Meditations on Music. The one quote that comes to mind is from St. Augustine, where he says, when we sing, we praise God twice. I would even go a step further to say, when we sing hymns as well as any song about faith, hope, and love, we praise God twice. Since the beginning of creation, in heaven for that matter, leagues of angels have been singing the glory of God and for as many souls to be saved as possible. I mean, there are 9 choirs of angels. And even if you aren't religious or spiritual, you have to appreciate the idea and act of singing to bring about goodness in a celebratory manner to all those who sing and all those who listen to anyone singing. To me, it is the best form of creative outward expression that exists. And the fact that we were able to do it at any given moment is not only a tremendous blessing, but a true gift and miracle. When anything is in the form of a gift or appears to be a miracle, giving thanks and showing gratitude can most likely come with the territory. So since we are given the gift of life, which is a miracle in and of itself, it only makes sense to say thank you to the creator of the universe for having afforded us the opportunity to experience what it is to be a living, breathing person in it. I can't think of a better way to spend eternity anyway, other than singing loud and proud in celebration of life and everything that comes after we die, physical death. This is especially the case when many people sing the same thing all at once. In other words, the harmony we create on this earth will not only resonate after we are gone here, but will echo in and for eternity when we are in communion with our souls forever. August 30th. Singing is incredibly physical. Hugh Jackman. You've got that right, Hugh. It really is. Of course, singing is more than just physical, but for the sake of speaking directly to this quote, below are a couple examples of how singing is incredibly physical. Number 1, we use our faces, tongues, mouths, necks, throats, larynxes, vocal cords, esophagus, lungs, diaphragm, and abdomen, at least to sing. These are many body parts all aligned down the center of our bodies to do so. Number 2, in using these various body parts, we stretch them to the limit at times, taking deep breaths, holding musical notes out for a long time, and even moving our faces in strange positions to hit long and or high notes. This is all the while standing for long periods of time, moving around a stage or platform to perform, which is generally taxing on the body. Number 3, we use our hands and arms as a way to inspire ourselves in the crowd when singing, gripping our hands tight in a fist or having them open to sing loud and proud. Number 4, if you're in a band that writes and or performs heavier music, you will inevitably use your head in such a way as to feel the music through you in the form of headbanging. For these reasons, and I'm sure more you could think of on your own, it's no surprise that Hugh felt compelled to say this quote. August 31st. For me, the voice is the most important, but making your singing believable makes a great performer. Holly Kavanaugh. The voice most certainly is the most important part of your ensemble, if you will. If you don't have a good voice, then everything else surrounding your artist or band's image doesn't matter, in my opinion. All of the glitz, glamour, prestige, accolades, and everything else that comes with being a famous singer-songwriter will become a moot point or almost done in vain. Why do I feel this way? Because if you don't have the goods, let's say, then all the fancy bells and whistles act as a mask to cover up any talent or lack thereof. To me, if a singer is good and if a song is good, if he or she can stand on its or their own without the necessity for other things. Just one microphone and one voice, and one microphone, one instrument, and a voice. This is what does a trick for me and serves as an acid test for greatness. The next step of this is taking your voice and the song in hand and singing it with such passion and conviction to make it as if you are fully embodying the lyrics, message, and or story of the song. To me, this is what separates the wheat from the chaff, and who ends up singing professionally for decades or being a one-hit or worse, a no-hit wonder. It's easy to spot when someone is going through the motions or when someone really means what they say. Let's be more the latter than the former.